Welcome to the Golf Summer Series qualifying for the 2021 Firecracker 400. Taking a look at the format for today's qualifying session, there's going to be single car runs, 1 lap per driver. The qualifying order is actually the Rockingham starting lineup, but inverted, so the 61 car who started last will go first, while the 35, who was on the pole in Rockingham, will go last. And as for the weather here at Daytona, 85 degrees Fahrenheit, with 12 miles per hour source to southwest. And obviously, since it's happening in the daylight, track conditions here will differ from Sunday night. But without any further ado, let's get this qualifying started. And as mentioned, the first car up is the number 61 at Jordan Forbes. One of the drivers rocking a patriotic scheme here this week, sponsored by Nesquik as well as Team USA. And that 61 Dodge. Forbes was actually one of the fastest cars on practice this past Tuesday. And I'm having the 7th fastest time of 46.965. Going into this race, Jordan Forbes was 30th in the point standings, lost over 11 positions after getting involved in a wreck at Rockingham. 61 team definitely looking for a good day here, weekend here at Daytona. Take a look at the time, 49.017. That will put the 61 first on the board, but obviously he's the only car to qualify as of right now. We'll see if that changes with our next driver, Herman Solomon, the 36. Sponsored by Gamer Advantage and Death Wish Coffee. Solomon, of course, turned a lot of heads during the Winter Street Stock season. Despite missing the first race, still finished inside the top 10 in points. And that earned him with possibly the top team going into the season in Baker Racing. So far, Solomon's had a roller coaster of a rookie campaign as he came to this race 18th in the points. However, on Tuesday's practice session, he was actually one of the fastest cars, having the 3rd fastest time. And much like his time on Tuesday, Solomon's putting a really strong lap here. Coming through the trial oval, see what the lap time will be. 48.797. Pretty solid lap there. And I'll put Solomon first on the board. Johnny Hernandez rocking the fan favorite Air Force car from last season this weekend. And of course, Hernandez Racing is on a streak of winning the last 4 Crown Jewel races, with the only one being missing is this very race. So definitely you think everyone over at Hernandez Racing wants to win this race here on Sunday night. On Tuesday, Hernandez was 16th fastest, and going into the points, Hernandez was 9th in points, inside the top 10 in points for the first time all year after having a terrible start to the season. That 46 team was able to turn around, so kudos to them. Meanwhile, as for Johnny's time here in qualifying, it's actually the slowest compared to Solomon and Forbes. And coming to the line here, 49.041. So the slowest so far out of the 3. And if you're Hernandez right now, you're definitely hoping that you can get the best starting position as you can, because that was not a very good lap. Next up, Jason Albert. Albert on Tuesday was 21st fastest, and for the point standings, Albert was 12th. Albert actually had a really strong start to the season, being as high as 2nd place in the point standings, but after a string of mediocre races, has fallen below the top 10. And much like Hernandez's last run, this is not a really good lap at all for Albert. As he comes off turn number 4. And down the start-finish line, 49.054, the slowest time so far here at Daytona. And yeah, these past 2 drivers towards the upper half in points. Not really good times here in qualifying. Rain Vela, another driver rocking the patriotic paint scheme here this weekend at Daytona. This time promoting Sonic's brand new red, white, and blue slush float you can get right now in the drive-ins. On Tuesday's practice session, Vale was actually the slowest Chevy, getting the 33rd fastest time. But so far here in qualifying, Vale is having a very solid lap. Not on pace to beat Salomon's time, but still enough to be under 49 seconds. Coming to the tri-oval, time here for Vela, 48.965, currently second for the 8 car. That was a really great lap there. Could potentially be a big confidence booster for the 8 team after the really disappointing run on Tuesday. Dan Mctrain, another driver rocking a patriotic paint scheme here this weekend, this time sponsored by Circle B Diecast. Mctrain went into the season as one of your championship favorites, but as of right now, he's dead last in the point standings and was 29th fastest on Tuesday. But fortunately for Mctrain, he actually got a top 10 finish last year at this race, and at our last Super Speedway race at Talladega, Mctrain actually led 3 laps before running out of gas on the final lap. And so far from Mctrain's qualifying run, it's going to come nowhere even close to either Salomon's or Vela's run. And coming to the start-finish line here, 49.026, currently 4th on the board. Again, Mctrain's another driver, just hoping these other drivers have very slow times here. Next up, one of your favorites going into this weekend, Hoodlum in the 3 car. Of course, as I mentioned, Hernandez Racing has won the last 4 Crown Jewel races, with Hoodlum winning all but one of them. Not to mention his win at the Roval back in May came in this very same pace scheme as he led every single lap in that race. On Tuesday's practice session, Hoodlum was towards the middle of the pack when it came to times, but here, he's looking really, really fast. This is a great lap being put on by Hoodlum here. So far, he's beating Solomon for the pole as you come off turn number 4 and towards the tri-oval. Will he beat Solomon for the pole? Yes, he will! Hoodlum on top of the board here at Daytona. 48.509. That was a fast lap there for Hoodlum. And he's definitely cementing his case as one of the favorites to win it all here at Daytona. Next up is your winner from Watkins Glen, David Johnson, the 2. Sponsored by Nike and Winn-Dixie. On Tuesday, Johnson was 15th fastest, while in the point standings, Johnson came in 22nd in points, lost over 8 positions after being involved in a multi-car wreck at Rockingham a couple weeks ago. And as for Johnson's lap time here so far, it's looking pretty mediocre compared to some of the other drivers we had so far. And off turn number 4 and towards the start-finish line. $49.016 for David Johnson, currently 4th on the board. Definitely a lot slower compared to his fellow Ford, Kyle Solomon, who got a time below 49 seconds. Next up is the first Railfan Motorsports car, running one of the fan-favorite paint schemes here this weekend, Lipsy in the 9 car. Lipsy, of course, very nearly won a crown jewel last year at the Roval. But of course, I think we all know what happened to Lipsy with 2 laps to go. Ended up blowing up. He gave the win away to Dan Mattiello. Lipsy on Tuesday was actually one of the fastest cars, having the 8th fastest time. However, on points, Lipsy came this race 29th in points, but did get a top 10 a couple weeks ago at Rockingham, which was his first of the season. And so far as for Lipsy's lap time, it's looking really, really slow. It's actually probably one of the slowest times here so far today. It's going to be even slower than the only other Dodge that's qualified thus far, Jordan Forbes. And as for Lipsy's time, 49.047. That's going to be the second to last slowest time here. Lipsy currently 8th on the board. Here's another driver that was fast during our practice runs on Tuesday. Aiden Robertson, the 1 car. Robertson was 9th fastest on Tuesday, and the point standings was a position above Lipsy, 28th in points after being involved in a wreck at Rockingham. And wow, this lap time so far for Robertson is looking really, really fast. I think could possibly beat Hoodlum's lap time here. But he's still got about half a lap to go in this run. We'll see if Robertson can hang on, currently with the lead. And man, that 1 car is just flying through those turns right now. And coming off turn number 4, Robertson still in the green. Will we knock Hoodlum off the pole? Yes, he will! Aiden Robertson now on top of the board here at Daytona. 48.504. That was over 5/1000ths of a second faster than Hoodlum. However, there was still 25 cars that have yet to qualify. And as mentioned on Tuesday's practice sessions, this next driver here has one of the biggest headlines going into this week. Caleb Rose, now to number 95. Of course, as we all know, the previous driver of the 95, Richard Herman, ended up vacating his spot during the bye week. Soon after, Rothan Motorsports ended up buying the assets of the 53-95 team and incorporated as their 4th car and picked Rose to drive the remainder of the season. And so far, the rookie is putting up a very respectable lap time in just the 2nd time ever in a GSS car. And coming to the stripe, the time here for Rose, 48.860. A very respectable time for a person who's only ever been in this Golf Summer Series car only one other time on Tuesday. Rose currently 4th on the board. And speaking of Rothan Motorsports, here's the boss man himself, Brad Reim in the 40. On Tuesday, Reim was 10th fastest, but in the point standings, Reim came to this race 14th in points, lost 5 positions after being involved in a wreck at Rockingham. And look at Reim's lap time here so far compared to his other 2 teammates. It is noticeably slower than Caleb Rose's time, but still a hair faster than Lipsy's. Last year in this race, Reim finished 13th, narrowly avoided the big one that happened towards the middle part of the race. Off of 4 and coming towards the tri-oval. 49.44. Currently 10th on the board for Brad Reim. That's one of the slowest times here so far. Next up is a Florida native, Matthew Hill in the 90, rocking a camouflage-themed Florida Gators car here this week. On Tuesday, Matthew Hill is 18th fastest, while in the point standings, Hill came to this race 27 points. There was another driver involved in a wreck at Rockingham a couple weeks ago. This race would definitely be a great place for Hill to get his first GSS win. As I mentioned, he is from Florida, and this is, of course, the biggest race of the summer. And looking at Hill's lap time here so far, it's looking pretty decent. Very comparable to Cal Salomon's time, who's currently 3rd on the board, but unfortunately not enough to beat either Hoodlum or Aiden Robertson's time. Coming to the stripe, Matthew Hill's time, 48.808. That was a very great time there for Matthew Hill. He's currently 4th on the board. Next up is another rookie rocking a patriotic paint scheme, RC Gamer in the 42. RC was one of the fastest cars on Tuesday, had the 6th fastest time, but meanwhile in the points and throughout this entire season, his startup team RC Motorsports have struggled to find a hold this year, with their highest driver in points being Nelson Reeves in 13th. And unfortunately here for RC, his time won't come even close to his teammate Aiden Robertson's pole winning time here so far. Coming off turn number 4, coming towards the tri-oval now. Time here for RC, 49.45. Currently 12th on the board, the third to last driver as of right now. Next up is your winner to kick off the season back in May, CRothers in the 4. Besides that Armory Digital win in May, CRothers also won at 8 Bowl last September. Currently has the most Super Speedway wins out of any active GSS driver. On Tuesday, CRothers was 26th on the board, and in the point standings, CRothers was taking a free fall all the way down to 19th in points after starting the season inside the top 10. CRothers also had a very disappointing showing at Talladega after getting held up by lap cars during the restart. And speaking of disappointing, CRothers' time here so far is actually the slowest time out of anybody here today. Coming towards the tri-oval, 49.058. That was just not a good time at all for CRothers. Hopefully that team can figure out something for the race, as CRothers is currently last on the board. Next up is your defending Winter Street Stocks champion, Ryan Wilson the 7th. And despite Wilson winning the Street Stocks Championship, he has not had the best luck at all this year at Super Speedways, being involved at wrecks at both Armory Digital and Talladega that knocked him out of the race. Wilson was 17th fastest on Tuesday and is also 17th in the point standings. Wilson's time is looking very comparable to his teammate Kyle Salomon's time, so Baker Racing definitely a team to watch on Sunday night. And as for the time coming towards the stripe, 48.991, very solid time there for Wilson, as car number 7 is currently 7th on the board. Speaking of 17, here's car number 17 of Joe T. Joe T also currently leads the Rookie of the Year point standings, is also the first Pontiac to qualify here today so far. On Tuesday, he had the 30th fastest time, and it's showing. This is even slower than CRothers' time. That car may look beautiful, but in terms of speed, there's just not a lot of speed in that 17. You gotta think that teams are scrambling right now to find a decent setup for Sunday night. Taking a look at the time here for the 17. 49.6. That is by far the slowest time here so far. Currently, car number 17, 17th fastest on the board. Here's something kind of fun for you. Take the slowest car number in 17 and subtract it by the fastest car number here so far in number 1, and you get 16. Nelson Reeves up next in the number 16. Reeves was 20th fastest on Tuesday, and in the points, came in this race 13th. Was actually the leader of the Rookie of the Year point standings, but after a string of mediocre races, is currently third in the Rookie of the Year standings, behind Joe T and John Mcfadden. And so far, Reeves' time is looking very comparable to his teammate Ada Robertson's time. Off of 4 and towards the tri-oval. 48.953, currently 5th on the board for Nelson Reeves. We'll see if that can hold as we're almost towards the halfway point here in this qualifying session. Nunnigan Scott in 86 up next. Scott was actually one of the fastest drivers during Pepsi Showdown practice. However, for Firecracker, he was 28th fastest, and in the point standings, he came this race 23rd. Scott has been the GSS ever since the very beginning, but has yet to find success with his best finish being at Denver last year. But fortunately here for Nunnigan, he's actually putting a solid lap below 49 seconds. But unfortunately still not enough to match that one car. Robertson has to be using like a really good setup or something like that, because that one car has been untouchable here so far in qualifying. And looking at Scott's time, 48.886. Currently 5th on the board. We'll see if that can hold Next up, Dan Mattiello in the 14. I think all of us know at this point how much of a struggle it's been this year for Matteillo in the Summer Series. But fortunately for Matteillo, he was 4th fastest on Tuesday, alongside his teammate Movement in the 5, who was the fastest on Tuesday. And so far for Matteillo's lap time, he's putting up a very respectable lap time. And I say it's now or never for Matteillo to turn the season around, as that halfway point here in the Summer Series season is inching closer and closer. And Sunday night could just be that perfect opportunity for Matteillo to put his hat back in the ring. As for Matteillo's time, 48.994, currently 7th on the board. Not too bad of a lap there for Matteillo, who led the points throughout the majority of last year. And here's your current points leader, Jordan Stout in the 11. Of course, remember Stout in most of Atlanta Motorsports last year, besides Random J, was below the top 20 points. But with the addition of Nathan Barrett as co-owner, as well as the move to Pontiac, that team has really improved this past season, with 3 of the cars now inside the top 10 in point standings, with Mcfadden actually tied for 10th with Movement. Stout was 11th quickest on Tuesday, but as of right now, this is looking like a really disappointing lap time for the points leader. It also doesn't help too that Stout has struggled during the last 2 super speeder races at Armour Digital and Talladega, getting involved either in a wreck or getting held by lap traffic. Look at the time here for Stout, 49.052, another slow time for a big name here in qualifying. Currently 18th on the board. Herman Solomon, the 67, up next. Of course, Solomon came oh so close to win the first ever GSS race last year at Armour Digital before running out of gas going into turn number 3. This season and this week has not been the best here for Herman Solomon. Was 34th fastest on Tuesday and currently 33rd in the point standings. And Solomon's lap time here so far is looking like it's going to be below 49 seconds, so that's definitely a good sign for that 67 team. And a time here for Solomon, 49.002 seconds, just barely above 48 seconds there. Currently 11th on the board for Solomon. Next up, Dominic Payment, the 55. Fresh off his first ever GSS run at Rockingham a few weeks ago. And of course, on the last Super Speedway and Crown Jewel at Talladega, Dominic was oh so close to winning before running out of gas in the tri-oval on the last lap. Payment was 31st on the board on Tuesday, but because of that aforementioned win, Payment moved up to 7th in the point standings, the highest running span of a driver in the point standings. And the lap time so far here for the gas station boys looking very solid. Could possibly be another time below 49 seconds. And the time here for Payment, 48.930, currently 7th on the board for the driver of the Buc-ee's 55. Keyshawn Richardson, the 24, up next. Was a championship contender last year in the Summer Series, and this year he's doing just the same. Currently 2nd in the point standings, only 6 points behind his teammate Jordan Stout. Richardson was also 5th fastest on Tuesday and is shown here so far, as the time right now is looking like it's going to be below 49 seconds. And coming to the tri-oval, 48.909. That was a great lap there for Richardson. Currently 7th on the board. And like we saw at Talladega a couple weeks ago, Sunday night's race could potentially completely shake up the point standings. So this is definitely be a great opportunity here for that 24 team. Owen Miles in the 60 up next. On Tuesday, Miles was 27th fastest, while in the point standings, Miles has free-falled all the way down to 25th in the point standings. It was actually inside the top 10 in points throughout the first 5 races of the season. However, a string of wrecks and just bad luck for that 60 team, and Draconian Racing as a whole, honestly, have derailed that 60 team season. And so far, Miles' time is actually under 49 seconds, but not in the top 10. And take a look at the final time here. 48.992, currently 13th on the board for Owen Miles. Nick Sand to 52 up next. Rocking the Hershey's Red, White, and Blue Cookies and Cream card this weekend. Looking really awesome and beautiful. Nick Sand having a better year compared to last year, but still nothing extraordinary. Was 14th fastest on Tuesday, and going into this race, Nick Sand was 20th in points. And so far, Nick Sand's time is looking very, very disappointing. It's no even close to anyone, even in the top 15. As we take a look at the time here, 49.049, currently 22nd for the driver to number 52. Not a good run, not really a good run there for Nick Sand. Same could also be said for the rest of the Albert Motorsport drivers so far, as their highest driver so far is Dan Mattiello. Next up, another one of your point leaders, Brendan Beal in the 22. Beal will also be the last Rel fan in Dodge to qualify in this qualifying session. Beal was 12th fastest on Tuesday, and going into this race, Beal is down to 3rd in points after losing the points lead to the Atlanta Indy drivers of Jordan Stout and Keyshawn Richardson. And so far, Beal's time is looking really disappointing, as it's actually going to be above 49 seconds. .057, another slow time for a top driver here in qualifying. Beal currently 25th on the board. Devon Payment up next in the 88. Devon was actually the 2nd fastest on Tuesday, only behind Movement in the 5. However, in the point standings, the 88, much like last year during this time period, is struggling. Currently 31st in the point standings with only a single top 5. And so far, this time here for Devon's looking really mediocre. Nothing going to write home about, as it's looking like it's going to be above 48 seconds. And taking a look at the time here, 49.024, currently 17th on the board for Devon Payment. Basically in the middle of the pack when it comes to the other drivers. Trey Smith in the 66 up next. Was actually the point leader for the first couple of races and was actually inside the top 10 in points despite losing the points to lead. However, as of right now, the 66 is 15th in points after a terrible race at Rockingham, getting involved in a wreck. And in addition, on Tuesday, Smith was the slowest car, having a time of 47.303. And so far, showing not the slowest car here so far, but still going to be below 48 seconds. And looking at the time here for the 66. 49.039, currently 19th on the board. Another driver towards the middle of the pack when it comes to times here today. Random J up next in the 53. currently the second to last Pontiac to qualify. On Tuesday, the 53 was 19th on the board, while on the point standings, Random was 4th, actually gaining a position on Hoodlum. And so far, just time here for Random. Look like it's going to be below 49 seconds. This lap time looking like it's going to be a lot better compared to Jordan Stout and Joe T, but not as fast as his teammate Keyshawn Richardson's time. And the time here for Random, 48.958, currently 11th on the board for the number 53. Your defending series champion is up next, Kellen Baker in the 21. Baker actually got his first DNF ever in the GSS on the last Super Speeder race at Talladega, after getting involved in a wreck with his teammate Ryan Wilson and fellow Fords of Nunnigan Scott and David Johnson. On Tuesday, Baker was 32nd fastest, found points. Baker dropped to 8th after getting involved in a wreck at Rockingham. But regardless, Baker is still a championship favorite going into the second half of the season. As for Baker's lap times, looking pretty solid, but unfortunately not enough to be inside the top 10 as of right now, as Baker is right in the middle compared to his two other teammates. And the time here for Kellen Baker, 48.954, currently 11th on the board. Again, right in the middle for Baker when it comes to his two other teammates. Slower than Salomon's time, but faster than Wilson's time. Next up, another Florida native, Brunette in the 13. Driving the FOE red, white, and blue colors here this weekend. On Tuesday, Brunette was 24th fastest, found the point standings. The 13 was 26 in points. Has not found any luck at all in any of the series he's been a part of. He's been a part of every single series, but has yet to find victory lane. And so far for Brunette's lap time is looking really, really good. It's actually beating out Kyle Solomon right now, but not enough, unfortunately, to be either Hoodlum or Aiden Robertson. In the turns 3 and 4, Brunette still keeping up with this good lap time. And out of 4, and towards the tri-oval. Take a look what the time is. 48.726. That will put Brunette 3rd on the board. That was a great lap there for the Spina Bifida driver. Speaking of fast, here's the fastest car on Tuesday's practice. Movement in the 5. Movement came to this race 10th in the point standings, of course won at Texas World earlier this year. But so far here today for Albert Motorsports, they have not really looked that good in qualifying. And that trend's going to continue here for Movement, as he's looking very, very slow. Really disappointing run for the fastest driver on Tuesday. And yeah, you got to think everyone across all 4 teams of Albert Motorsports are scrambling right now to find an ideal setup, even for Mattiello, because this team has not looked fast at all here today. And take a look at time here from Movement. 49.105. Very, very slow time there for that 5 team. But I'll put him 28th currently on the board. Only 2 more drivers left to go here in qualifying. And one of them is Canada's John Mcfadden, the last Pontiac and Atlanta Indy driver to qualify. Mcfadden had a career race a couple weeks ago at Rockingham. Started 2nd and ended up finishing inside the top 10 alongside his other Atlanta Indy drivers. Mcfadden was 25th fastest on Tuesday, but right now that Pontiac is looking really, really fast. Fortunately, it's not enough to win the pole, but it will take the crown as the fastest Pontiac here today. Time here for Mcfadden, 48.824, currently 6th on the board for the number 89. And last, and certainly not the least, Ross Mctrain in the 35. Of course, won the pole a couple weeks ago at Rockingham. Mctrain had a very disastrous start to the season, But after a runner-up finish at Pittsburgh and a top 5 at Rockingham, the 35 team is propelled all the way up to 21st in the point standings. Mctrain was also 13th fastest on Tuesday's practice session. And looking at Mctrain's time here, it's going to be below 49 seconds, but not enough to beat that one car who's all but got this pole. And the time here for Mctrain, 48.960. That'll make Mctrain start 15th on Sunday night's race, as Aiden Robertson will win the pole here for the Firecracker 400. For a time of 48.504. That was, again, a blazing fast lap for that one team. And of course, if you remember last year, Lucas Armar in the one won the race. Can Robertson return that one car back to victory lane here at Daytona? But anyways, let's take a look at the results for rows 1 through 4. So on the front row will be rookie Aiden Robertson seeking his first ever Golf Summer Series win, as well as the first ever GSS points win for RC Motorsports. The next row will be Hodem in the 3 car, seeking his 5th straight Crown Jewel win for Hernandez Racing. So on the second row will be Florida native Matthew Brunette, with a chance for his first ever GSS win, and same could also be said for rookie Kyle Salmon. A lot of rookies up here in this front 4 rows. And speaking of which, row 3 is a row full of rookies: Matthew Hill in the 90 and John Mcfadden in the 89, the only Pontiac in this front 4 rows. And starting on the 4th row will be Caleb Rose in the 95, trying to become only the 2nd driver after Nathan Baird to win in the first start mid-season. And next to him, Nunnigan Scott, another driver seeking his first ever Golf Summer Series win. And of course, coming up tomorrow night will be the 2021 Pepsi Showdown. Many of these same drivers will be competing in that 20-lap exhibition race. And of course, on Sunday night, on 4th of July, will be the main event, the 2021 Firecracker 400. Definitely a pair of exciting races you don't want to miss coming up in the next couple days. So stay tuned for those. But as always, y'all, thank you guys for watching this qualifying session. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll see you guys next time.